What is up YouTube? It is OGaming95. I also go by OG, and today I'm here to present you my very first YouTube video. So I'll just do a brief introduction of who I am in my Brawl Stars career, and then we'll get into a bow tutorial. So I started playing Brawl Stars on the very first day it came out, and since then I've had 3 #1 finishes, a bunch of top 10, won a few tournaments here and there, and a couple leagues. So I think I'm very experienced Brawl Stars player at the moment. So I've won PBL Season 1, currently in PBL Season 2 we're 7-0. We've also won FIBA, and then a bunch of smaller tournaments, a lot of tribe ones, etc. And I have a lot of good info to share with you guys, so I'm excited to do that via this channel. My greatest accomplishments in Brawl Stars so far have definitely been my #1 finishes. I set the point best for 17k back in September when there was one less brawler and the servers were all messed up, so still really proud of that despite it getting smashed currently, but I'll be back in a few seasons with a new one hopefully. Also, getting bow to 1000 cups was a huge achievement for me. It was very tough with the current meta. Leon just destroys bow, as I'll cover in the video. I had a lot of great teammates to help me out, so I'm definitely proud of that achievement. Okay guys, so as why I chose bow, I've wanted to 1k a brawler for a really long time now. It's always been one of my goals, and I feel like it's everything, like every top Brawl Stars player has to do at one point. So I recently took to a poll on Twitter. I gave you guys 4 options. It was Daryl, Brock, Bo, or Jesse. Just 4 brawlers that I'm very confident with, and you guys chose Bo. So I ended up getting him done in about 10 days, 3 to 4 days left to spare, take or give. And yeah, it was a really interesting journey. I learned a lot about matchmaking up there and a few other things, but it was a blast. I'm really glad I could deliver to you guys. Alright, so let's get into some general tips. So I'm sure you guys are all familiar with Bo. You either have him or you've seen him played before. He has a very interesting shooting mechanic, and that's why I love him. There's 2 ways that you can use Bo's shooting attack. You can either stride right to spread your shots, or you could stride left to aim them all up. I find that it's best if you mix it up, like always take note of how your opponent's moving, figure out their patterns, and then you can hit your shots periodically based off of that. Next up, let's get to Bo's super attack, and for his super attack, he launches 3 mines that spawn in a random pattern. It's definitely one of my favorite supers in the game. It's very versatile. You can use it to area denial or to trapping enemies, so your teammates can help finish them off, or just if you need to kill some time to heal up or regain position. It has a lot of different uses, and it's definitely one of my favorite supers in the game. Okay, and finally we have Bo's star power, and unfortunately Bo is kind of useless without his star power. I hate to say it because I love the character so much, but just with the current meta he is very underwhelming without his star power, and it is just crucial on certain maps. So for his star power, it basically gives extra vision in bushes. It goes up to 6 tiles, and it's viewable for all of your team. So it can really be the difference on grassy maps between your teammates winning their lane or losing their lane. So I recommend always going near the bushes as Bo, because it's just such a game changer, and it is definitely one of the strongest star powers in the game. Okay guys, so next up let's get into his best modes and his best maps for those modes. So first off, we definitely have Showdown and Duo Showdown. It's just his star power is so strong on certain maps. So for his top maps, I have Feast or Famine, Island Invasion, and Rockwell Brawl. It's just the maps are based with so much bushes, it just makes so much sense to use a bow, especially in Duo Showdown, because you can give your partner the vision and then they can do most of the DPS, and it's just a lethal combination. So I really strongly recommend Bow on those specific Showdown maps. He's decent on the other ones too, a few of them, but those are definitely his strongest ones by far. So for Bo's second strongest mode, I'd have to give it to Gem Grab. This is where I did 95% of my pushing, and I've always loved Gem Grab, so you can get away with him as a pretty decent gem carrier, depending on the matchup of course, but he fares very well against Pocos and Pennies, so I had a blast playing against them. His top 3 maps would have to be Stone Fort #1, Flooded Mine #2, and Deep Siege #3, and Stone Fort and Flooded Mine, they obviously have their bushes. Deep Siege doesn't have that many bushes, but just the way the map's set up, I feel it's really useful with its shooting mechanics. So there's a lot of corridors that you can line up your shots by striding left, and it just works out really well, I find. Alright, so for Bo's third strongest mode, we have Bounty, and probably his most famous map, just due to the star power again, would have to be Snake Prairie. So I can't remember the last time I played against a comp there that didn't have a max bow. It's basically an essential for the map. The other like two characters can be interchanged, but like you need a bow on that map, so it's by far bow's strongest map. Second off, we have Outlaw Camp, which has a decent amount of bushes too in the middle. So you want your bow to go in the middle sort of and just give vision of where there's usually another thrower on the enemy team or like a mortis or something, so you always want to keep track of where they are. So his vision is super useful there. And then finally we have Hideout, and there are a couple bushes here, but you don't really use them primarily for a star power here. Again, it's kind of similar to with Deep Siege. There's just how the map's set up. It's like decent shooting lanes for him, and I could line my shots up pretty decently when I played him here. Okay guys, so for Bo's 4th and 5th best mode, I'd have to give it as a two-way tie between Heist and Brawl Ball. He's just not very viable in the current meta there. As I said before, he's kind of underwhelming, and his star power is like what gives him the edge in any sort of map, and it's just not the case in Brawl Ball, especially with like how the maps are structured. Yes, some maps do have, I guess, a bit of bush, but just there's so many walls too, and there's just a lot of better options. Same with Heist. The only Heist map you can really get away with him on, and this is a stretch, guys, I don't recommend him here by any means. I tilted 21 cups when I was playing, would be Kaboom Canyon, because I have seen some people push a few minor cups, but nothing serious. It just seems like there's better options in both of these modes, so I do not recommend playing him here. I just pick someone else. Okay, next up, let's get to counters and who counters Bo. So obviously, I'm sure you guys have been hearing this a lot lately, but the main issue with this meta is Leon, and Bo does not fare well against Leon, like by any means. I had so much trouble with Leon's this entire like push. So he is by far the biggest counter to Bo right now. I don't know what's going to happen with Leon in the future. I've heard some people say like a good nerf would be like to give Bo's vision, early sight to Leon's if they're invisible, but I don't know what's going to happen. Right now he is just such a hard counter for Bo, so watch out for Leon's if you're playing against someone with Bo, because it will definitely be a challenge. Okay, now let's get to people that Bo counters. So my favorite matchups when I was a gem grab mid was always Pocos and Pennies. And Pocos just because Bo can kind of like chip them down. Poco can't get near him if you're hitting your shots, so I found he was really effective against them. And then Penny is always a little more delicate, and Bo's mines can also be used typically to break walls that a Penny turret might be hiding behind. So I had really good results matching up against Pocos and Pennies. You can also use them against Jesse fairly well, but the turret is like a lot harder to kill, I find, than a Penny turret. Including those three characters though, I wouldn't say Bo either really hard counters anyone or has any hard counters. A lot of it comes down to just like how you play in the game and how your opponent plays. So I feel like Bo's the type of brawler where you can actually outskill a lot of your opponents, just primarily based off if you hit your shots, if you help your teammates win their lanes, and how you position your mines and your star power. So I really recommend getting used to him. I think in a few metas it could be his time, because he's long overdue for a Bo meta. I don't think we've had one since the start of the game. So I think Bo is definitely a good brawler used in the right hands. Okay guys, so this concludes my very first Brawl Stars video. Thank you so much for taking the time out to watch it. I had a lot of fun making it. If you guys did enjoy the content, then please like, subscribe, and drop a comment. Hopefully I'll get another video out soon, and thank you again so much guys for watching this video. Any tips or constructive criticism are definitely welcome, so just let me know. Alright, peace guys.